Hey everybody, welcome to our final video of our Saturna toque knit along. My toque is almost done. It's looking good. Looks good. I managed to make it until the end of round 10 on my circular needle without it stretching too badly. Turned out good. So I only need to do 2 rounds with my double points. So rounds 11 and 12. So what I'm going to do is, if you've never worked off of a circular onto double points before, you literally just start knitting off of your circular onto one of your double points to start, okay? So our repeat around on round 11 is knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1, knit 2 together all the way around. So I'm going to start in on that, and I'm just going to forget about my old right side of my circular needle here and just ignore it. And I'm going to start in with my bare first double pointed needle. So I'm going to knit 1, I'm going to grab my yarn and draw it over just like a normal stitch. You can make that first stitch nice and tight just so that the connection is good. Knit 1, knit 2 together. Sorry if this looks a little bit awkward. I'm trying to work around my camera here. Knit 1, knit 2 together. And you want to sort of divvy up your stitches when you're working onto double points. They don't have to be perfectly equal, but it is nice to sort of do them sort of in sections. So I think I'll do about this many stitches on this first one. I'll then grab my second one, excuse me, and I will now ignore my first needle that I just filled here, and I'll take my second needle and I'll just continue to work with it. Just ignore your front needle and work onto your second needle, your new empty needle. So knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1, knit 2 together, and we're just working off the circular onto our new needle. Let's do one more on this one. Knit 1, or one more section I should say. Knit 1, knit 2 together. Now we're going to ignore that needle and we are going to work onto our third needle. So we are going to do same thing. We're going to ignore needle number 2 that we just filled up, bring it to forward so it's out of the way, and work onto needle 3. So knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1, knit 2 together, and that takes us all the way around. Sorry, I'll try to stay in frame here as I'm knitting around my camera. So there, we're off of the circular, it's empty, and we've got our stitches divvied up onto our 3 needles. And like I say, they don't have to be perfect, but I think I've got 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6. Oh, I do have 6 on each one, which is good. It's not imperative, but it's nice if they're sort of spread out. So now we're still going to be working in the round just like we were on the circular, except our stitches are divided onto the 3 double points instead. So for our last round, it's just knit 2 together all the way around, just normally, and that is going to bring us down to our final stitches. Sorry, I feel like that last stitch I go to frame. Unfortunately, I can't work around the camera any other way at this point. You're getting the idea. Knit 2 together, knit 2 together, knit 2 together, and one more awkward here, sorry. And then same thing, one more needle, get gets us down to our final stitches. There we go. Okay, so we are down to 9 stitches, and that's it. We're done. It turned out really good. Now what we're going to do is, I'm just going to reach over here for 1 second, grab my scissors and my wool needle here, and I'm going to cut and leave probably about, oh gosh, maybe I safely usually do about 10 inches, 12 inches. Cut my yarn there. And I'm going to thread my yarn through my wool needle. I didn't plan it that my wool needle matches my yarn, but it does, go figure. And this is how I finish off the top of a hat. So I'm just literally going to thread my tail that's attached to my wool needle through each of my stitches. Take my needle out and draw it through, and same thing through my other stitches all the way around. Still got a pink stitch marker that I'm going to have to take out there in a minute. Through all my remaining, I think it was 9 stitches. Draw it nicely into a tight, pretty much as tight as you can, tight little circle. And then I usually go through that circle one more time just to really secure it, and just make sure that everything is really happily locked in place like that. And then I usually take my yarn down through the middle, the center of those drawn stitches, pull it to the inside, and then that's where I weave in my end. And on something like that, I usually just weave over, just pretty randomly, over and through my stitches for about, oh, probably about 1 inch. Doesn't really matter in what direction. Actually, probably more like 1.25 inches. And then I go back a little bit. I sort of backtrack on myself a little bit just to sort of lock everything in place. So it's not going to go anywhere once it's well woven in there. And finish it off like that. Just a nice tight little sort of hiding. You're really just hiding your end and locking it in. So it's in there. I'll take my stitch marker out in a minute. And then the same thing with my my cast on edge. I usually probably cut about a 6-inch tail to work with, you know, depending what I had left, just so it makes it easier to work with. And then on this one, I like to, just to sort of, usually there's a little tiny little gap there. I usually just go over, not to, if you have a look there, there's usually a one sort of a bumpy loop there on the other side. I come over to that, and then I come back to my, what would have been probably my first stitch in my cast on. And I just sort of find by going over and back, it sort of mimics what the cast on looks like, kind of. It's not perfectly perfect, but I always find that works pretty good. And then I turn my work to the inside, and the same thing, I just come through my stitches for probably about 1 inch, just to lock my end in, up for 1 inch, and then down a couple stitches just to lock everything in place. And that's not going to go anywhere. That's super secure. And trim that up and ready to go. So now your hat is finished, ready to wear either yourself or to gift. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed our knit along. This has been a fun one, simple but fun. And in the comments, if you have any other ideas for knit alongs you want me to do, or ideas you want to see on our channel, let me know, and don't forget to like it and subscribe, and we'll keep doing more stuff. So happy knitting, and enjoy your Saturna toque.